They shared 3 between Johnson, Marnie again, and Van Driel in round 3. Round 4, Oscar Toussaint with 6. Round 5, Marnie kicked 4. And last week, Toussaint and Turner, as I mentioned before, kicked 4. So they do have plenty of forward options.
Well, that's what I was going to say is, again, it comes back to being the sign of a good side is you're not relying on one or two to kick you a goal as the Tooradin side run out onto the ground. Looks like they got the Oz kickers out with them, which is always a great initiative, getting the young fellas involved.
So just leading the charge for them at the moment, it looks to be Lewis Hill as they run around the wing now. Inverloch yet to enter the ground.
So before just going in and getting the team sheet from the Inverloch side, I reckon this ground's going to suit them. They had a lot of bigger bodies. There's also a few big bodies out there for Tooradin, but just having been up close to them, there was a lot of big boys, and you expect that down from the country towns. They love their meat and 3 veg, the country lads. So this ground might be perfect for them to get a big scalp.
So not long before we're underway here. Now, last week we did have a few candidates for the King G Trade Comfort Max Goal of the Day and the Fused by King G Mark of the Day. So we're hoping to see another courageous grab last week. I believe it was Eddie back with the fly in traffic.
It was.
As Inverloch run out here.
Yeah, that was probably the only good mark we had, to be honest. And that wasn't a reflection of the people playing. It was a reflection of the conditions. It was a wet old miserable day in Victoria last week, but as you can see on screen, you could not have asked for better conditions for a game of footy as we start to charge into the winter months. Perfect view up here as well.
Absolutely.
What did I said you could just about pack up ship and live up here. In Tooradin, you've got a toilet, you've got a little kitchen area. You could quite easily turn this into a little man cave, and wouldn't that be cool?
So both sides need that X-Factor player, and I'll offer you a question. If you had to predict an X-Factor player for either side, who could it be? As we see, there is Brent McCaffer, rather warming up.
I've heard a lot of good things about Andrew Proctor.
Yes, yep.
So I'm going to go with Andrew Proctor from the Tooradin side. From the Inverloch side, I'm just going to have a look here. I think it might have been, I reckon William Turner might have been the one I'm most excited about.
And he has switched numbers from last week.
Yeah, he has switched numbers.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I think...
previously 15, now 11.
Yes, if it wasn't him, then I do apologise. But yes, they're my two that I'm going to keep an eye out from each side.
So we'll be sure to keep an eye on the games around the ground today. It's a little delayed the start here, but over at Bunyip and Corumburra have just kicked off their game. Kilcunda play Coralin. Coralin are leading that by 2 points. And an early start for Kuwi Rupp, who are 2-2-14 against the bottom side in Garfield, who sit on 0. And that's 5 minutes in. Phillip Island will play Daleston. Tooradin, of course, here will play Inverloch, and Warrigal Industrials, who we broadcasted last week, play Narnagoon. So that will also be a result that I'm excited to see.
That will be a good contest, that one. Now, I had a chat with our good friend Nick Gooden last week. So Nick Gooden, I'm sure, will be watching this broadcast at some stage throughout the day. So Nick messaged me on the Sunday and told me that was Paddy McGarrity's, I think his 13th or 14th game of senior football. So incredible and not only that, to think that 5 games ago he kicked a bag of 7. So less than 10 games of senior footy and you're kicking a bag of 7. And I was also told that he was playing for the Warrigal Seagulls, who also play out of Western Park, but play in the Gippsland League competition. And wasn't getting used up forward, so he made the switch early into last season and hasn't looked back. And gee, if you're Warrigal Seagulls, you're kicking yourself a little bit.
Yep.
Missing out on a player like him. But yeah, what a weekend it was last week 4 goal kickers. We had the bag of 10, the bag of 8. So plenty of goals being kicked in the West Gippsland football netball competition, which of course is proudly brought to you by Alex Scott and staff, and Fairhaven's Homes, as we know, sponsoring the match of the day in support with our good friends and Nick Gooden out at the Warrigal store.
Yes.
And we've got the existing stores in Warrigal, Wonthaggi and Tooradin. And then we've got the new store coming up in Pakenham.
Yep. So wonderful insights by Nick Gooden there as we're almost underway here. Shem Hawking did the toss for Inverloch, and for Tooradin it was Jordan Kelly as they approached their positions. Plenty of midfielders in there for Inverloch, and starting on the close wing looks to be number 15. Now, that is Tate Cumming today. Last week it was William Turner. And, of course, he'll match up with Xavier Shinners. But we're almost underway in the ruck for Tooradin. It will be Peter Wright waiting for the siren to go. Inverloch, who are 4th on the ladder against Tooradin, who are 1st. Here it is. The first knockdown was for Inverloch. There's a scrum in there, and it makes its way out to Marcus Toussaint, who gives it off to his brother. And they go forward, waiting at the back of the pack. The mark was almost taken. Now diving in there with the backman, but the first goal has been kicked under 20 seconds in.
Great contest there from Clark, just to bring the ball to ground. Had the good position. Probably should have marked it in the end, but that's what we spoke about. If you can get a clear centre break early and get yourself deep inside 50, you put pressure on the defence.
Jensen Garnham on the board. And, well, we did talk about quick starts, and I don't think there could have been a faster start.
Correct. What have we got? We've got, well, there's 43 seconds gone. So we're going to say that goal was within the first 20 seconds of the game.
Yep. As we're just retrieving the footy, and there's been plenty of cars that have had a rough day at the office today.
Who's put that through? We're going to keep it after last week where we had
Jensen Garnham with his first.
So we're going to give him his first. We're going to keep a track of that today because last week he kicked that many goals, we lost count.
And I just noticed the contrast between Marcus and Oscar Toussaint. So Marcus is the ruckman as he's about to climb again with Wright. And look at that tap. Wow, that looks like prime Nick Nat Nui, but this time it's Tooradin who escape out of there. Ball bounces towards their forward line again, and he'll bash it right to the top of the square, and he's missed to the near side.
I reckon it's going to be a shootout today.
Yes.
Dylan, we've already seen that. You get a clear centre break, and you're within scoring distance.
It looks like it already, as Cumming will make his lead. The pack forms on the near side, but instead Mackie goes to the far side, but waiting there was Peter Wright. He'll play on quickly, just poke one inside 50 and lace out. Will hit there forward. He'll line up from about 45 metres out.
How good's the delivery there? If you can have your ruckman feeding the ball inside 50 like that, that's a bonus in itself. They're not renowned for their field kicking ruckmen, generally like to give the hands off. So if you can do that all day, it'd be hard to stop.
Now that is off to the far side. In fact, it might be out on the full, and it is. So Shem Hawking, the captain for today, to resume play for Inverloch. And he's gone off his line, so the umpire will call him back. On the mark is Julian Suarez. And now play on, down the line. Big contest forms, just slips through Eel's hand, falls to ground. Again, digging it out was Eels, but Inverloch, they can just boost themselves forward. Not for the moment, because Hill was there to stop them in their tracks, and it spills out of bounds.
Now, Dylan, you'll know.
In fact, it was Parlberg.
You'll get to know. I'm a big believer in you got to look the part, and I'm not sure about McCaffrey's look with the tucked-in jumper and the socks up at the minute. So we'll keep an eye out to see whether those socks stay up for the rest of the day.
And on cue, McCaffrey just chipping it forward. Only to the Inverloch defence, who will bang it back to the line. It's a 1-on-3. The numbers with Tooradin, and that is a perfect result for Inverloch. Out of bounds, about 60 metres from their goal, and we shall have a throw-in under the glistening sun. How beautiful are these conditions?
Yep, perfect backdrop out here at Tooradin.
Lovely throw in there. So right again, Toussaint in a tangle. McCaffrey, hand pass over the top. And now they'll venture across to the wing. There is Parlberg. High ball up the chimney and a free kick coming to Inverloch. He'll play on quickly. He just drives it inside 50. Who's there? Well, we'll wait at ground level because Park came crashing through. And now Tooradin, they'll interchange through hands. Brewer across. It's just slightly obscured here with that roof. And now they return it in play. McCaffer has it in his hands. But it will come back to Inverloch, or will it?
I think it is.
It will,
now,
yes.
What's he paid there? Was there a high fend off maybe? I think it must have been. He couldn't have ran too far.
So it's going to be William Turner, who did change Guernsey numbers as we spoke about. Number 15 last week,
He's
number 11 this week. He's 30 metres out, and this would just add to the perfect start for Inverloch. But he fans it wide, and again, it's over near the cars. And as I said before, a rough day at the office for those cars.
I thought we had a runner, a young kid behind the goals, picked the ball up and thought he started taking off the other direction.
Now, this is Adam Oxley. 34 games for Collingwood across 6 years. He kicked 10 goals for them. Looks like he's playing in the back pocket now. Big fist from behind. Spinning through traffic was Van Driel. Dished the hand pass off. McCaffer caught in a crush. Works its way out the back. And a kick forward again by Parlberg. Almost a dangerous collision, but it stays alive. And here they go, Tooradin, edging it forward again. It was Butler. Engulfed by the tackle immediately was Pryor. And we'll have a ball up about 35 metres out from their goal. So it's one behind to Tooradin. One straight kick for Inverloch, who lead it by 5 points on the Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard. Again, the umpire will call the whistle. Similar position to where we were before. Up in the ruck this time, it was Suarez. Paddled it down, and now escaping his eels. Gives it off to the runner, who just kicks through the centre of the ground. Waiting at the back of the pack was Clark. He tapped it off to a teammate, and here is Turner. He looked to rectify the situation from before, but instead he's made another mistake, and Tooradin are out now. It's Kelly kicking to the wing. Mark comfortably taken there. I believe it's Liam Adams who'll go inboard. Livermore considers a couple of offers. McCaffer in the middle. A forward doubled back there that lays the kick short and right on the paint. The mark is taken, and that is pinpoint for Stuart Scanlon. Any insights early?
Look, as I said, help if I turn my microphone on there, Dylan. As I said, I think it's being played a little bit between the arcs at the minute, and just have a shot.
Just quickly, 8 goals last week, and he'll add 1 to the tally this week. There's the goal they were looking for. They lead it by a point 7 minutes in.
Yeah, as I was saying, it's a reflection of what's happening, I think, to date. There's a couple of quick scores early and feeling each other out. I think it's clearly going to be a tightly contested game, being that it is the small ground. But when you're able to get the clear breakaway that each team's been able to get and get it deep inside 50, it just puts your defence under enormous pressure. So I think whoever can win the midfield battle is going to go a long way to winning this one.
Play resumes. It's in dispute. So a 1 point lead early for Tooradin. It looks to be a shootout. Right, this time got a fingertip to it, as did Two Saints. A cluster of players in there. And a free kick has been spotted. It'll go Inverloch's way, so Turner plays on. Off to Two Saints. Interesting choice in the pocket, just over the head of the desired target. It might find a way out. Breaking away now, Inverloch forward line. Tracking it down with the defence, and they'll find another way out of there. Kicking to the broadcast side wing. Mark was almost juggled by Suarez, but a prominent fist from the backman puts it out of bounds. And that was well worked by Michael Eels. Now, one thing I've noticed early, the approach that both sides have taken, they're looking for the target rather than just bombing it to full forward. So that's something you like to see. As Park was in the mix, Tooradin venture forward again. Bounced obligingly for their forward line. Suarez, who's been involved early quite a few times, just escorts Pryor over the line.
Just having a look at both ruckmen as well. Both started the game really well. Marcus Toussaint looks like he's trying to get the jump, and whereas the Tooradin ruckman in right's just trying to get a bit of body feel and out wrestle him.
Plenty of altitude in that ball, and camped underneath was Adam Oxley. Experience tells the story there, doesn't it? That kick just over the head of Shinners, and now Inverloch look to pounce. Wyatt about 35, 40 metres out from goal. Slight angle, elects to line up, and he'll have a shot.
Gee, it's a game of millimetres there. If that kick there from Oxley is able to hit the target, and it was millimetres off, they're out. They've got space through the corridor, but just misses, and it opens up the other way, and Wyatt should put this one through.
So Thomas Wyatt. In he comes. Looks good off the boot, but it just goes to the right side. So Oxley. That time his kick is beautiful. And now at the half-back flank is Blake Brewer. Plenty of goals kicked this season by him. And that time back with the fly, the defence is able to put a nip in the bud. Short chip in the middle, danger about it. It was enough to influence the mark being dropped. It was Park who dropped it.
Just took his eyes off it, I think.
Pressure ensues. Almost in the middle of Tooradin Recreation Reserve. Right, didn't want to obstruct his teammate. McCaffer lodges it forward. Bobbled around in the hands of the defence, and the mark was eventually taken. Down to the wing now. Running back with the fly. Would have been courageous, and then falling down. That was a big hit. It was Joe Sumalis. Looks to be back up on his feet. Right in front of us. And here he is, Sumalis. Immediately caught. And a ball up.
Tell you what, the Inverloch side have got about 4 or 5 players that are the same height and got that surfy, wavy blonde hair, so it's been a little bit difficult to tell who's who at the minute.
Now, just quickly, Josh Williams looks to have the job on McCaffer as Van Driel placed it up for Jordan Kelly in the hole for Tooradin. And there is the precise kick we were talking about, and if Oxley hit that before, it would have been a different result. Right to half forward. Straight out in front. The umpire let it go. He finally paid the mark. Bounced once. It was a half volley. And here he is, James Trezise, having a shot at goal. Just off. In fact, he's missed everything. Which is surprising because he had plenty of time, more than he thought. That ball just carried in the wind. And Butler marks, kicks laterally across, and obstruction, so it will be a free kick. And they quickly move it on. And the target is being hit, and here is Blake Brewer. In he comes. It was a nice, well-weighted kick, and it's through the big sticks. Tooradin have a 6-point lead, 2-1-13 to 1-1-7 on the Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard.
Yeah, fantastic kick a goal there, and he's been everywhere. Early days Brewer, playing across that midfield. We see there, it's obviously an instruction of the Tooradin side to use the corridor as much as possible, particularly on a small ground like this. If you're able to expose the other team on the going the other way through the corridor, it's obviously the shortest way to goal. So causing a few headaches early.
Change in ruckman. Brad Butler this time. Toussaint got the better of him, but Butler might retrieve it again. Locked away. Umpire calls the ball up. We'll resume it right in the middle again. There's the throw up. Two Saints, that time just spiking it forward, and a free kick has been paid.
Yeah, McCaffrey looked like he just tried to throw him out of the way there.
So Lachlan Scott, probing ball. Mark almost taken it, finally falls. Here's Turner. They slap it forward. Finally, it's flushed away. Bounced nicely. McCaffrey this time. Hand pass over the head. Edging it forward across the wing. And there's another free kick. This time, it was basically for the same reasoning. An illegal push out. And Inverloch have it at the wing. Rankin. Kick fell short. So McCaffrey, or Suarez rather, had to go in head first. Bit of biffo out there between McCaffrey and Ethan Park.
Looks like you're right. Looks like Scott is trying to get his way to McCaffrey at stoppages.
Well, they'll attempt to nullify his presence, but it's certainly being felt early on as Turner was just restrained, unable to keep it moving. Nearly 15 minutes in. Tooradin by 6 points. Butler with a large vertical leap there. And we'll have a chance to see it again as the umpire calls for a ball up.
Giving away a few centimetres is Butler.
This time it was Van Driel, or rather Suarez. So plenty of contests around the ground. Ferocious players everywhere. Look at this, not a lot of space in the centre. As Suarez will try to find an open man, but again, they're slung to the ground. So a 6-point lead. What have you liked early, Kyle Pover? Expert comments.
I think, as we spoke about before, I've liked the way that Tooradin, as much as possible, when they're able to get the ball on the outside, they're just looking to go through the corridor. It's almost first nature for them. Their players are running there. So that's exactly where they're kicking.
Relentless pressure from everyone. Lenders, hand pass across in defence. It's dangerously looming. Here is Hughes. And it should spill out of bounds. But they're definitely pressing Inverloch.
They are. Look, considering they kicked that first goal within the first 20 seconds of the game, Tooradin's probably had most of the control early days. But to find themselves only a goal down, I think they'll take that. As we sort of move towards time on of this first quarter.
Clark couldn't connect. Boot to ball. Shallow throw in. Suarez this time just punching it down, and they're unable to walk the tightrope. Perfect conditions here as Inverloch looking to put another goal on the board. It's a scrap. And another ball up. So stagnant footy at the moment.
Yeah, both sides just feeling each other out, I think, last few minutes.
Suarez and Clark. McCaffrey that time gave that plenty. Bounces on the wing. Who will track it down? This time Tooradin. And for Inverloch, it was Pryor. Hand pass across to a teammate in crime. Hughes paddling it forward. Suarez and running into trouble with Scott. And they did enough to affect the play and put it out of bounds for another throw in. Centre wing. The perfect view for us here. Plenty of shuffling from all the midfielders. That time Suarez just chucked it on the boot. Mark dropped. And fighting hard at ground level with the defenders for Inverloch. And that time, Park. His kick is cut off by Lenders. Now, Lenders did have an acquaintance there in Hill. Instead, gave it to Oxley, who you would say has a reliable boot. And that time, it was a little unfortunate because Garnham, who's already kicked one, puts them forward again. Turner just went through his fingertips. Now, is that drawn in? Umpire says no. 20 metres out from goal. Nearly 18 and a half minutes through the first quarter. It's bashed away by Adams, but it looks like it'll come back. This time, through coming again, into the pockets. And Galea for Tooradin. Used Lenders as a reference, and then Lenders gave it off further. Sitting at the half-back flank now. Off to the wing. That's reeled in somehow. Great mark taken. And now Dylan Wilson on the left this time. The customary foot for him. It falls short of Scanlon, and they'll keep it alive. Now this is danger. And they're flirting with it, but... well, is it deliberate? Umpire says no. So they've worked that well in the defence, Inverloch.
I think they'll take that Inverloch. It was as deliberate as they can. Just blatantly knocked it out of bounds.
This time, barging through is Scanlon, and he's on the board! He kicks Tooradin's third with a tremendous snap across his body.
Perfect opportunist goal there from Scanlon.
And that's his second.
Yeah, just able to rove that nicely. I think it went straight over the boundary throw-in contest. So to be able to read the trajectory of the ball through the air and pounce on it, fantastic goal for Scanlon, who, as it stands at the minute, is currently the difference.
Yep, the X factor, you could say. 20 minutes in, it's Tooradin by 12. We resume hostilities, and there's been plenty of tensions rising. McCaffer may be copping a tag, as we alluded to before, and another free kick going Inverloch's way. So this will be Marcus Toussaint. No, it won't be. Rummaging upfield for a forward and rising, unable to clunk the mark. Sumulas came through, hand passed it across, but this pressure is just relentless by Tooradin, and Brewer gave it off. That's a high ball. The bounce was a little unkind, but it finally sat on its end, and they straddled the line unsuccessfully. It's going to be a throw-in at the half-forward flank.
A few almost moments for Dylan Clark. He's got his dukes to a few balls coming in, just hasn't quite been able to clunk them, but he's looking dangerous.
So Inverloch, they just need to remain within range. And here's a chance, a flying shot at goal! It has the distance! The accuracy was the only issue. Oxley to bring it back in for the Seagulls.
Now he's either hitting you lace out at the minute, Oxley, or he's turning the ball over, but that is because he's trying to take these dangerous kicks. I mean, look at that, that's perfect.
That is perfect. Jordan Kelly. Plenty of leads being offered. Which one will he select? He selects the long one down the line. Suarez joined the throng, waiting for it at ground level. We're all their rovers, and Brewer handed it off to Adams, who was immediately confronted by pressure at every angle possible. A big punch forward by Toussaint. Wyatt just waited for it, and to his own detriment, because Tooradin can now escape right. That kick, well, it's a scrambled ball forward. Again, Suarez here. Wilson just influencing the ball carrier, but not enough. Inverloch Williams now. Just telegraph the hand pass for Park. They'll backtrack. They just need to compose themselves here, and that will be a free kick, but they take advantage. So Park, they move it through the middle. He'll negotiate with Casey, and that time he spots the lead. And the mark is taken by Tristan Van Driel.
They've owned the last couple of minutes, Inverloch, so they'd be wanting to have something to show for it on the scoreboard, no doubt. Now, he should kick this. There's no wind to speak of. He's about 40 out straight in front.
17 goals for the season for Tristan Van Driel. Looking for his 18th. Off the boot, it looks good. And it sails right over the goal umpire's head. 3-1-19 to 2-2-14. It's Tooradin by 5, but that is a goal that they will be happy to see 23 and a half minutes in on the Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard.
Yeah, as I said, they needed to capitalise on some of the good work they'd been doing over the past few minutes. they're starting to get a dominance in the ruck contest in terms of hit out. So Wright's still getting plenty of the footy himself, but he's just being able to jump over the top at the minute is Toussaint. So you just want to keep an eye on that. You can see Wright's trying to just get into a wrestle with him as much as possible.
And that time again, Park, the exponent for another goal. A mark is taken somewhere in there. Wasn't sure who was trying to make their claim, and in the end it was Cooper Ship.
Yeah, good mark. Going back with the flight, cutting across, exactly what you want your intercept defenders doing.
Now, definitely potential for the Fused by King G mark of the day so far. So we'll write that down as Lenders heads out to the wing, but they'll repel. Inverloch, that just trickles along the ground. Boundary line seems to be looming. Casey kept it in, and it was a throw. So great tackle by the defence there.
Def, just keeping an eye on McCaffrey at the minute. Lachlan Scott will not leave him alone. So definitely an instruction there that he's doing the run with tag.
And it might take a toll on him in the fourth quarter. You know, McCaffrey's endurance is extraordinary. That's a high ball. And Oxley just perched below it. He'll play on. And he'll start discussions through the centre for Inverloch. And a great fist by Soomless. Mark not paid. Umpire let it roll. And two Seagulls climb all over him. We've got a ball up on the wing.
I think both teams will take a ball up there because either side was out if they were able to get it out onto the outside.
Suarez with the back tap. Casey enters the scene. That time it was Kelly taken to ground.
Or Tresize. Might have been Tresize.
Yeah, it might have been Tresize. Two Saints.
Work with his mum.
Oxley this time. Wandering ball forward, but there is the siren. It's 3-1-19 to 2-2 Inverloch. It's an enthralling contest so far at quarter time. A shorter quarter than expected. 5 goals kicked, 25 minutes and 38 seconds was the duration, but it looks to be a great contest. We'll be right back. We'll take a quick break, and we hope you are enjoying the game of the round, supported by Totally Workwear Gippsland stores.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. I'm going all the way up. I'm letting go in my heart of everything that holds me down. And it's feeling like I'm the renewal. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
of a community that likes to
Second quarter about to get underway. 3-1-19 to 2-2-14. It's Tooradin by 5, and Inverloch are certainly, they should be able to hold their head up. They've played extremely well.
Yeah, absolutely. They've started that game. Well, they started it in perfect fashion with a goal straight out of the centre square. You can see, though, I think that they're very similar in the way they want to play. Both of them trying to attack through the corridor as much as possible and get it moving on the outside where they can.
Here we go. A big knock forward by two Saints. Motoring onto it and a big collision. That time it was Livermore.
Just having a look. Still looks like Scott's going with McCaffrey. He probably had his 5 or 6 touches that quarter, McCaffrey, but probably didn't have the influence. Lots of little in and under handball. So,
and on cue, just gave that tap off maybe. It was a little obscured, but that is a high ball. And the mark, well, Suarez making his claim, and it's been paid about 50 metres out. He hooks the kick to full forward. Wilson will rise. Waiting at ground level this time was Brewer. Hand pass deflected, and it was a little inoperative to the wing now. Flying was Oxley. And barging his way through, two Saints. The contest and the numbers begin to multiply around the footy. We'll have another ball up.
As we see, McCaffrey's got about 2 or 3 metres on Scott. That's the first time today.
Great knock forward by Butler. And here is swinging onto his left foot, Trezise to the goal mouth. And big set of knuckles that time in the form of Michael Eales, able to rush it through for a minor score. And that was a hurried kick out of the kick-in, but it worked. Now Inverloch kicking to your left of screen. They'll go forward on the wing. This time loping after it was Rankin. It just trickles over the line. Instead it was Garnham, rather. kicked their first goal within, we'll say 15 to 20 seconds if you've just joined us.
Yeah, and then kicked one just on the stroke of quarter time, so a bit between drinks.
So they link up, and again back to the broadcast side wing. Sitting and waiting for a teammate was Hawking, and he was caught. It's holding the ball. And Julian Suarez.
Yeah, I was going to say, big tackle, big mark to start off this first quarter. Now, that's probably 50 metres. I don't reckon that was in the contest.
No. That time it was, again, Galea. And they'll come back, this time Tooradin on the wing. And they'll just push it wide. Paulberg across. One of their main forwards, and look at the vacant space over near us. So he just goes to a contest. Suarez will fly. It's nearly brought down by Wright. He just kicks it forward along the ground, and two Inverloch players were waiting. And here is the man who had vacant space around him, but couldn't use it to his advantage. They all pile on top of each other, and it's a ball up.
If I'm right, I'm telling my other forwards to clear the space. He's clearly got a massive size advantage and big strength advantage. Get out of my space. Don't bring your player into my space. Let me have that one out, because he's going to back himself most times.
That has to bounce favourably, and it did, but he was caught in the tackle. That was Dylan Clark.
Who's had a nearly day, Dylan Clark.
Cooper Ship didn't let him have any space. There's the throw up. Butler, huge vertical leap. Toussaint got the better of him that time. Sleight of hand. Van Driel, it was intercepted by Tooradin. And that kick, well, it stayed in play somehow. Mark is taken, and by that man again, Julian Suarez.
Liked the start of his second quarter.
So he'll look for an acquaintance and find one. Blake Brewer. Now, double backing forward was right, and here he is. He'll make his lead and take the mark.
Perfect. Just gave him a little bit of space to work in with, and that's what we asked for.
This would give them a 2-goal lead. Similar position to where Dylan Clark missed one in the first quarter. In he comes. Wrong side for a right footer. It's bending back, but not enough. It's a minor score, and over the fence it goes. 7-point lead this time for Tooradin. 3-3 to 2-2 on the Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard. Now, they do like to bring the ball in quickly. This time, they'll scout every alternative possible. Kicks to the near side. Now Butler has the jump. Toussaint trying to put his imprint on the game. That kick just deflected off the hand of Eels. Somehow stays in play at ground level. They're able to garner the footy. Toussaint again, knocking it forward in front of the Rovers. Sumalis just held his opponent back. And again, Toussaint, that time of the Oscar variety, falls to Oxley, who had to measure one and almost did well, but waiting at the back with the Rovers again for Tooradin. This time it's Adams. He'll centre the ball to Brad Butler.
Good unselfish play there.
He'll move it on to a 2-on-1. Unusual option. Hawking for Inverloch. Just clatters it away. And Suarez again. So he'll go and read the play ahead. He decided that just placing it up was the best option. Right again! Mark not paid, and he's kicked it right down the full. Watch out! The Cars might take a belting there. That was off the side of the boot.
A bit stiff not to be paid the mark, I thought. I thought he had first hands on it.
Todd Mackey in the back pocket for Inverloch. A cross goal, usually hazardous, but that time it was able to work. Park, short chip just softened it for Pryor. On the left side, a 1-on-1 up on the wing. And now they all swarm. This time it's Clark. As Kyle said earlier, it's been an almost day, and that trend continues, but a free kick has been pointed out. Casey, hand pass to the run and carry in their winger. Dropped mark, that time Van Driel. Wilson to exit the back line. And their kicks out of the back line have been extremely disciplined. Opposite side, right on the wing. And as you can see behind him, just the horizon of the Port Bay Macaffer. 1-2, off to the run in Adams. Adams to full forward, right back with the fly. And now they'll have to be precise with their hand pass. Again, tracking it down. Hawking just somehow kept it in play. Casey went up for the fly, spinning around. That won't go all the way because there's a man right on the goal line. And he takes the mark under pressure. Eels, kick fell short for Sumalis, who had to improvise, and he did extremely well. To the wing, Oxley back with the fly, and that time it was Garnham. Kicked their first goal. And he'll venture forward, a big leap. Couldn't reel it in. And here is Garnham again. So Garnham to half forward. And happily punched over.
Just looking at the way that they're trying to move the ball, Tooradin, and they're doing well to nullify them, the Inverloch side, because they're trying to use the corridor as much as possible. And I wouldn't be surprised at quarter time if the Inverloch coaching staff said to their players, if we can restrict their movement through the corridor, we'll go a long way to beating them. Because even when they have gone deep inside 50, Tooradin, it's been to the pocket.
Van Driel too far out to score, so instead he just sets up the framework with the kick. They're all corralling around each other. That time it was Bailey trying to keep it alive. And it will be a high free kick to the Tooradin defence. Now they'll just control play. Jordan Kelly, the captain for the day. That was 15 apparently. In the back pocket and now inboard. Wilson tells his teammates to provide an option. And he does have a reliable source out wide, but the defence was too tall. Lewis Rankin with the mark. Just softened the kick. Sumalis. It's his brother Jamison. And here is Suarez. Comfortable mark now on the wing by Egan. Probably his first possession. Hasn't been too much of him today. Right. Didn't want the corridor. Instead he preferred the wing.
They've been a lot more methodical in their ball movement this quarter.
They have just the two behinds to no score for Tooradin. 10 minutes into the second quarter, 21-14 on the Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard. And now there's a chance, but it's quickly shut down. Play resumes. That might go all the way. Need to get a boot to ball. It was Hill in the mix. Now going towards the half-forward line. Our view slightly obscured. Apologies for the names. Casey this time to bash it forward in hope of a mark. It was a 2-on-1 for Van Driel. Just feeding it across. Now Tooradin on the wing. Grewer to Macaffer and then Macaffer for Wilson. Through the centre of the ground this time. A man over the top and Adams identified him. And the defender just read it perfectly. And now they'll go towards him. Climbing all over him, but a ball up on the wing. Tooradin by 7. Knocked down. Sumalis. A big punch from behind. So plenty of stoppages today, and this second quarter has been a little lackluster in terms of scoring. The forwards, they're attempting to make an impact, but there's little to no space.
Yeah, and that probably reflects the size of the ground, I would have thought, as McCaffer's starting to get a little bit of the footy now this quarter, but it's under pressure.
Absolutely. Hard tag on McCaffer, navigating through traffic, but he's dispossessed. It was Matthew Livermore. Rankin this time, doing all the 1%ers today. Oxley probably should have taken the mark. It was an inexplicable drop, and now they can pay for it. The goal is being kicked. It was a lovely strike. And it's a 1-point game at 3-3-21 to 3-2-20 on the Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard. I'd say this second quarter has definitely been won by Inverloch.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're, as we spoke about, by shutting off the corridor, they're slowing down their ball movement. They're trying to be a little bit more precise with the footy, Inverloch. But
here they go again. Toussaint to the half forward flank for Garnham. Short ball inside, just out in front of Van Driel. Couldn't collect it, but he'll go with the second effort and be persistent as he has been all day. And the umpire will ball it up about 30 metres out from their goal. They'd love to take the lead into half-time. 13 minutes in, should be a shorter quarter than the last one, and that was 25 and a half minutes. Turner looking to exploit the room he had, but it was only very limited. Kelly prevented him from going further. High ball up. And again, a dispute. There's no room. The umpire just holding his whistle, finally blowing it.
been a bit of that this second quarter.
Absolutely. And there's no choice but to really hack it out of there. Won't have a lot of time to direct it towards goal. Rankin again. And it's just bashed out of there, but it'll come back through Ethan Park. Park on the left. Methodical approach. They all rise. And where are the Rovers for Inverloch? Well, here is Toussaint. And he was taken legally in the tackle, and it's holding the ball. So they'll disperse it wide. Adam Oxley sitting in the back pocket.
Now he's going to go for a dangerous kick. We do know that. He hasn't been afraid to try and take that pinpoint pass where possible.
To a one-on-one. Scanlon, who's already kicked two. Back for Egan. Egan forward line. And that's cut off. Hawking the captain. That is a dangerous kick. And now they'll have to try and stop the run in Butler. They work it well this time. It's Turner. And taken high. It's a free kick going Inverloch's way. And now through the centre, Scott, who seems to have come off McCaffer today, or in the last few minutes.
And it's probably been no surprise that McCaffer started to get more of the footy. So
shares it for Cumming, who slipped as he kicked it. And a nice aerial presence by the Tooradin defence. They hold a 1-point lead, 15 and a half minutes in. Palberg to the wing. They all congregate, and the umpire will call it back. Must have run off his line. So Dylan Palberg again. Short for Adams. And as Kyle Pover said, they'll move it methodically. Brent McCaffer on the wing. Over the top, just miscued the kick. Casey, he'll hand pass it to an open man. Incoming. Puts it back the way, a big fly. And a free kick. for Inverloch. So a lot of stop and start in this second quarter.
Yeah.
A stalemate in the last couple of minutes. And now maybe some room. A shot at goal. It's going to be close. Almost kicked off the deck. And they'll rush it through finally. But that is a chance that has evaporated.
Yeah, as we go to even Stevens now. Now, if the first quarter went for 25, 26 minutes, I reckon we're already in a time on in this quarter based off that.
So they'll pursue Oxley again. A man down behind play, just got up on his feet to half forward. And Tooradin, they'll look to negotiate with each other. It was a one-on-one, and now they'll all corral around the footy. Another ball up, half forward flank. So Liam Adams, who's definitely done a lot in the second quarter, just going under the radar, but this time Wilson. Off for McCaffer on the left, muffled ball forward, and Pryor takes the mark, hurls it long to the wing and out on the full.
Kicks it into the mangroves out the back by the looks of it.
So McCaffer signalling for them to go, provide a lead. He does get one up close. He goes a little longer. Plenty of height in it. Mark juggled but not paid, so he swings around on the left. But the staunch structure in Hawking was there to intervene. Casey. Oh no, Brewer to take advantage of it, and he does. Finally a chance, and it's capitalised on, and it was a costly error by the defence.
I reckon there's your comfort by King G goal of the day so far. Great defensive effort to smother the intercept handball and then to finish off on the wrong side. Snap it through for a goal. And that probably goes against the Tide as well. They've been pressing Inverloch but just weren't able to capitalise their dominance over the past 10 to 15 minutes on the scoreboard. So they'll be kicking themselves at that one.
And it gives them that 6-point buffer, which is probably a little more than you'd expect. Only 2 goals kicked this quarter, and they'll go forward again. High up and under. Who's there for Tooradin? It's slapped away by the defence. And the destination of the boundary line has been hit. Lewis Hill carrying it over. Two Saints. And again, Wilson. Casey may be taken high. Ducking underneath was Sumalis, and another ball up. Right. McCaffer just not letting Toussaint get any room at all. So we will try to look for Scott, but the tag has definitely come off McCaffer as right. Possesses the football and also possesses his opponent. And there is Scott. And right again, he'll dictate where this throw goes. Goes to his rover in Livermore, and there's a free kick. It'll go Inverloch's way. So holding the ball. Now Scott to Toussaint. Dangerous hand pass. It was a little uncertain. Now down to the wing. Further. Two Inverloch boys collided. And we'll have a boundary throw in. Bit of a dubious disposal over there by Scott, and I thought he could have gone back on his mark. Taken a little more time.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Giving it to the ruckman's always the ideal thing to do there.
Suarez just put it on his boot. This time Grush kicked the last goal. Probably fanned that one a little too wide. And looked to organise something. Brewer again. Livermore stockpiling it, but it's out of bounds.
In terms of the 3-2-1 vote, it's going to be difficult to give votes.
I'd say Suarez.
Suarez has been good this quarter. I've liked Oxley's game purely because he's had a few errors, but he's also been able to open them up with that precise kicking.
Fist out of there by Johnson, Garnham.
You could argue Scott potentially gets a vote purely from being able to nullify McCaffer's influence
Yes.
early days. I'm actually surprised they've taken him off him because McAfee has been able to get into the game a little bit more, and it almost felt like if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Another ball up. About 60 metres out from Inverloch's goal. Nearly 22 minutes has passed in the second quarter. They trail by 6. 4-3 to 3-3 on the Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard. And that is a goal! Didn't see who kicked it, but that is the goal that they would love just on the eve of half-time.
I reckon it was Clark.
And it's all square, so a nearly day for Clark, but he finally gets past the barrier and kicks a much-needed goal for Inverloch. It's all square. 4-3 apiece on the Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard.
Definitely needed that just before half-time, just so that they can go in saying, yep, we've won the quarter. I mean, there is only 22 minutes gone, but based off the first quarter, it might only be a 25, 26-minute quarter. So if they can go into half-time with the scores level, they'll take that, the Inverloch side.
That time Clark climbed the step ladder, but McAfee was there with the necessary intervention, and that is a perfect ball for Suarez again.
I reckon this would be his 5th or 6th mark just this quarter alone. He's had a great second quarter as Suarez.
For the instantaneous response, it's Julian Suarez. 35 metres out. He's pushed it across the face of goal. In fact, it won't even be a score. So 2 Saints to a one-on-one, and it's broken up in the air by Hill. Either side prepared to take the risk. We've seen it today, and this time off the runway. The Inverloch boys go forward. Garnham swings onto the right boot, right to full forward, and the mark has been taken by Tristan Van Driel.
He's been good in the air this afternoon.
On the other end, Suarez could not register a score. But now Inverloch with a chance to enter the main break with a 6-point lead, or even a 1-point lead. Tristan Van Driel, 17 goals on the year, and he stares it down as he puts Inverloch in front for the first time since the opening minutes.
Massive goal just before half-time. That one we spoke about going in even, but if they can go in at half-time, a goal or two in front, massive first half here from the Inverloch side. They've definitely rocked up to play today. Had some set plans. Nullify the influence of McAfee. Looks like Clark's having a run on ball in the ruck at the minute, which is not a bad idea because he had a couple of nearly moments early and they've got him up into the contest in the ruck.
Ball up, 25 minutes in. The umpire has given another free kick the way of Inverloch. So
I reckon he's lucky not to get a 50 there.
Park pokes one for Scott. And Scott just fell short of Wyatt. He'll turn around and kick it right to the defender for Tooradin. Proctor has some room to manoeuvre. But there is the siren. 4 seconds shorter than the first quarter.
Another short quarter.
And it's Inverloch who have a 6-point lead entering the main break. 5-3-33 to 4-3-27 on the Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard. New store open in Pakenham, existing stores in Traralgon, Warragul and Wonthaggi. But it looks like that we are being set up for a finish to remember.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to this second half. Good coaching performance that quarter, I reckon, from Inverloch. I reckon they must have had a quick chat at quarter time about this is what we want to do to stop their influence and stop them being able to move the ball quickly through the corridor. There's the Tooradin side there. You can, in terms of body language, Tooradin side look a little down on themselves, and the Inverloch side look up and about. So
It's almost palpable, isn't it?
yeah, and
The
look,
expressions.
as I said before the game, Tooradin are certainly the team to beat. So when you are the team to beat, teams are going to study you. Teams are going to work out ways that we can nullify your influence. And I think it was a great coaching move there just to block off the corridor, because they completely had to change tack that quarter, Tooradin. They were having to chip the ball sideways and hold possession and wait for something up, which is, there's nothing wrong with playing that style of footy. The only issue with doing that is if you do miss the kick or you do turn it over, you do expose yourself the other way. So a great quarter there from the Inverloch side, and looking forward to a great contest second half.
So we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with you for the halftime show. But it's 5-3 33 Inverloch to 4-3 27 Tooradin on the Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard.
Work hard. Digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. I'm going all the way up. I'm letting go in my heart of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in the groove. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. I'm going all the way up. I'm letting go in my heart of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in the groove. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in enough. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in enough. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in enough. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart. Ah, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I've been in the roof. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart. Ah, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I've been in the roof. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart. Ah, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I've been in the roof. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
community. A community that likes to work hard. Digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything.
Third quarter about to begin, and it's Inverloch by 6 points over the top of the table, Tooradin, Dalmore, Seagulls. Certainly surprising. Now, will we continue to see this trend in the second half, or can they bounce back and put on a flurry of goals, Kyle Pover?
Yeah, it'll be a good second half, that's for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing the response from Tooradin. They looked a little flat and dejected coming off at half time. So we'll wait and see how things play out in this second half. Not as high scoring as I thought it would be, which is not ideal.
Might have a couple of issues with the connection, so we do apologise about that. But we hope it is a smooth.
Well, it's really strange that it's been great all game, and then half time it's decided nut, and then it's back up again. So hopefully the internet gods are with us.
So here we go. Inverloch by 6 points. 2 Saints. And Butler didn't know where the ball went and eventually fell back into its place. And we hope it isn't a stop-start as the first half, but it was just there. Toussaint again laying the tackle. Wilson. The first real meaningful entry forward is for Inverloch again. Held back, but not enough. Mark almost taken. I think it might have been Rankin. And falling on the back of Johnson was Cooper Ship. "30 metres out. They'd love to kick another. Tapped backwards, and eventually it'll come back this way. And half forward transitions into half back for Tooradin. Adams caught, holding the ball, the umpire says. Thomas Wyatt about 45-50 out, right on the paint.
Gee, I tell you, I didn't see the other Inverloch player there. Thought it might have been 50. Now, history suggests he's going to miss to the right.
It does. But he could be an anomaly to it. Oh, no. Oh, no.
He's gone way right.
That might be all over Instagram if someone captured it.
Always wanted to press that button, and I thought that was the perfect opportunity there, Dylan.
Adams again. Out wide. And they'll chip it through the centre of the ground this time. Adams, or rather Hill, relocated to half forward now. A one-on-one. And the mark clutched by Julian Suarez.
How good's his game been since quarter time? That's about his third or fourth contested mark.
Now, we did...
Has he kicked a goal yet, though? I don't think he's kicked a goal yet.
No, we did see one of his shots earlier across the face and then another from the same position where it was just kicked, fanned off to the right. But he has a chance to set things right and draw the game even. Similar result, no exception. It's another minor score. Shem Hawking at fullback for the Eagles. The Battle of the Birds. A 5-point game, and history would suggest of last week that Tooradin can pile on the goals. Free kick, and McCaffrey looked to pounce on the advantage, but it went the other way in the end. And now he'll run off his mark, take every bit of 15. Hand pass a little indiscriminate, and it'll bounce back to Lenders. Over the line, out of bounds. Bounced obligingly in the end for Tooradin. Hill couldn't engineer a hand pass. He was constricted in the tackle. And a boundary throw in the same place. McCaffer this time navigating through the congestion. It bounced over the head of Williams, and now their forwards can run onto it. A 1-on-3, but right at a standing start and a shot at goal. And similar to the last kick, it's all the way out to the left, and that's out on the full. Jarvis Pryor this time for Inverloch.
McCaffer starting this third quarter where he picked up in that towards the end of that second half. I don't understand why they got rid of the tight tag that they had, because early days when that tag was happening for the first quarter and a half, we barely saw him. So
Butler obstructs the field of play. So we can just see McCaffer. He's loitering, and he does have the tag on him. Looks to be Jamison Sumalis this time, as he's in the thick of things. We'll have another ball up. Toussaint again, McCaffer. Quickly caught and brought down. Hand pass away. And Inverloch, they couldn't get away, and McCaffer will retaliate the other way, right to full forward. 3 Inverloch players need to sort this out. It falls loose, still remains ajar. Park, hand pass off, and they've probably made this harder than it should have been. Ball up right on the boundary line, 25 metres out from Tooradin's goal. So Toussaint just had the open leap. And that's probably preferred for both sides there.
So based off the first half with the short quarters, we're basically already a quarter of the way through this
Exactly right.
third quarter. Dylan?
Yep, goals have certainly been a premium. Just 9 goals between the two sides. Another dispute. They'll argue over it. This time it's bending back towards goal. It's off to the left again. Unless a mark is taken, it should be rushed through. Manages to stay in play. And a ball up. Oh no, we don't want this. Tempers flaring. The umpire just needs to resume play as quick as possible. In the end, it is a free kick going Inverloch's way. Toussaint just saying, kick it my way. And his brother was as well. This is Marcus Toussaint up for the rise. Parlberg had prime position at the back. And Hill kicked short. Play on. Proctor. He'll swerve it even wider than that. A big collision. And the free kick going the way of Tooradin. Brady Egan.
So they've started this third quarter red hot Tooradin, which we suspected they would due to their reaction at the halftime break. If they can get back in front, we have spoken about how their third quarters and second halves has been what separated them this year, so this could go a long way kick-starting
So
that.
Brady Egan eager to join the goal scorers, but his plans did not come to fruition. That's a 4-point lead for Inverloch. 5-3, 33 to 4-5, 29 on the Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard. It might come back. It was unglued for a moment, and they're able to control with poise. Inverloch down to about the half-forward flank, nearly half-back. It was almost taken off of their midfielders. We'll have a ball up right on the 50.
We asked it just before half-time, who do you reckon is best on ground at the minute? I can't really pick someone. This man's been good, though.
Certainly has. Blake Brewer already kicked the one. He would have to make the angles work perfectly for him, holding the drop punt. Wrong side for a right footer. He just places it up in the air. Their forwards run onto it, carving his way through. Trezise has a little bit of space, broke the shackles. McCaffer takes the mark, and he will definitely have the distance in him.
He will. I'm going to sound like a broken record here. How does he have that much space? He's gone from having no space at all in the first quarter and a bit to having his own free will and doing as he please. Really praise the efforts of the Inverloch side and the coaching efforts in that second quarter, but I'm not sure about this one.
We've seen this routine before. Brent McCaffer to give Tooradin the lead. He couldn't have struck it any better. And they all mob him. It's a 2-point lead for Tooradin. You'd think he'd played AFL before with that kick.
Yeah. Perfect right to left. Ball movement through the air there off the boot. As he kicks the Hollywood goal, he kicks the goal and straight to the bench for his spell in the rotation.
So it's Tooradin 5-5-35 against Inverloch 5-3-33 on the Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard. There's the throw up. Butler and Two Saints again clash. Scott just spinning through. Two Saints. Oh no, the ruckman a little indecisive, but he gave it off to the forward, and the goal is kicked. Another quick reply, and Inverloch regain the lead.
My man William Turner there. Fantastic goal, but fantastic there from Toussaint to play the role of a rover there as the ruckman and pick it up at ground level and get the handball out to his runner on the outside and turn to finish off the good work. So the perfect response there.
So all of a sudden, it's Inverloch by 4 again. Flashback to the opening 20 seconds. It was almost identical.
Well, we thought we were in for a shootout early days, but I can't see that happening at the minute. It's been few and far between with some of the goals this afternoon.
We'll see if they can create another passage of play. Park.
Yeah, good decision there from the umpire. Definitely being held was Park.
And it might be 50. It is. Brewer illegally through Park's territory.
Again, I think that's another good call. He looked like he crept forward of the mark. He might have had a word to the umpire as well, but gee, it's a hefty price to pay, 50 metres, and puts him, should goal from here, 25, 30 metres out directly in front.
This will give them their biggest lead of the day in the third quarter. There couldn't be a better time. Ethan Park, welcome to the club. It's another goal for Inverloch.
How about that? A matter of minutes.
Well, we struggled to see goals kicked in the first half. 3 goals have been kicked in the last minute and a half.
Well, there you go. And we talk about, is it necessary to have those Hollywood goals where the play kicks a goal? McCaffer kicks that goal. They go back in front. He goes off the ground. He's had a lot of stoppage clearance this quarter. So your number one contested ball winner in the stoppages is McCaffer. He's off the ground, and they're able to get 2 goals in the space of 90 seconds. So
McCaffer hastily put on, and here he is on the left. Not a lot of meterage. Certainly created a window of opportunity for all their rovers. But here is Galea. In fact, it was Hughes. Hand pass off. Tackle shrugged. Some elusive footwork. And Wright might get to this. Just slipped out of his grasp. And Hawking didn't hesitate to just kick it the other way. And the mark somehow roped in by Sumalis. Definitely dashing today. That kick, it was a little faulty, but the mark was unable to be taken. And now they'll have to work with the numbers. This can spell danger for Inverloch. Spills out. Still kept alive. And finally a ball up.
good forward pressure there from Wyatt. Liked his game this afternoon. Up forward for the Inverloch side. They've got a bit of a run on here. They got their tails up at the minute, the Inverloch side.
The last thing they'd want to do is concede. Free kick. We'll wait for the final decision. And fortune has fallen with Tooradin this time.
I thought he was going to point Clark's direction for a second there.
McAfee. Usually reliable by foot to Oxley, so the ex-teammates combine.
He's got McAfee on short again if he wants it, but
Shuffling through the options, and you can quite clearly hear Brad Butler's scream. He was ignored to a nest of players, a 2-on-2, front of the pack, almost taken, but he did well to keep it alive. Dylan Wilson, McAfee. They collaborate. It bounced right on its end. That time for Hill, and Hill chips short. McAfee just pleading for it in the middle. And this is Egan, McAfee now. He'll just caress it inside 50. Who has the rise? Trezise did, and he'll recollect. He was brought down right in the nick of time. Falls forward, dribbling shot at goal across, and it was initially out of bounds.
Gee, Trezise looks like an
live wire,
excitement
yes.
machine. I work with his mum, as I was saying in the first quarter. Therese, if she's watching, shout out to Therese, and she likes to tell me how good he is, and seeing firsthand, you can tell he's got a bit of tricks, the young lad.
So Wright knocked it down. They were almost away there, but it wasn't easy for them. Lewis Rankin just pointing out directions there for their forward line, as Pryor just lays a fierce tackle. Well, that's one thing I've noticed, the ferocity of their forwards, the small forwards in fact, is right. That won't bend back enough.
Speaking of nearly games, he's had one of those, right? He's done some nice things though. He's a difficult matchup.
So Mackey will swing this back into action. Scott just massages one for Pryor. Pryor, that was a low ball. Couldn't have been any better. And contrary to that, that kick was just short of the man in Clark. They all pile on top of each other, and it's holding the ball. Was that harshly adjudicated?
Yeah, you haven't seen too many of them paid this afternoon. As you know, Dylan, as long as they're consistent, I'm all for whatever the umpire wants to pay.
So Wright was the most appealing voice there. Just disentangled for a moment. Some players, a lack of communication. And in the end, they'll sort it out with a ball up.
Well, we had 3 goals in the space of 90 seconds, and now it's going back to the arm wrestle that it's been for most of the afternoon.
No space for Hughes. That time Toussaint attempting to just clear the zone. Some evasive footwork. They'll still combat in the air. Hill speculates with a hand pass. McAfee over the top again, and now they do have a little bit of it. Extending their vision forward. Here's Wright. He'll put as much on it as he humanly can. Mark was dropped. Taken over the line. Some great pressure from Stuart Scanlon on Todd Mackey. High throw in. Right. Hawking. Whistle.
So they've just controlled the last couple of minutes now, Tooradin. Haven't been able to capitalise on the scoreboard though.
Sumulus. And almost inhibited in the tackle with the forwards. For Inverloch, Jamison, Sumulus. Plenty of brothers playing today. Shem Hawking, he isn't one of them, but he is the captain. So a prominent role, and they'll look to carry their side over the line today.
Another
Limited
stoppage.
movement, yep. Another stoppage. We'll have a look around the grounds in a moment. But it's 18 minutes in, so according to previous quarters, there shouldn't be long left. This will go Inverloch's way. Rather Tooradin, so McAfee assesses what's ahead, and now goes. He'll give it plenty. It might go all the way. It's a free kick right on the goal line. And disbelief for Brent McCaffer. And he's probably perplexed as to why they even bothered.
Yeah, too hard to tell what the free kick was for.
Rankin out wide. Here they go. They interchange through hands again. Scott regresses back. And now they're prepared to move it forward. Bounced nicely for the defence. And tremendous pickup, but maybe to their own detriment. It falls back into its place. It won't fall out the back hatch this time as it did previously. We have another ball up. Centre half forward for Inverloch. Clark climbed the ladder and a throw. We go Tooradin's way. Now they're out. Just delayed the give and then found Adams. Adams can spy a couple of men loose. Brewer had to be clean. And it was a tamed hand pass. Falling to ground was Wilson. Wilson off to Adams again. Adams kicks bounce once. And bounced perfectly. Here's McCaffer. He'll look to kick a goal this time. Instead, he just put it out in front of their forward line. And Scanlon obliges.
He's been quiet since kicking 2 goals early in the first quarter. But puts this through and gets things back on track for Tooradin. They probably need this. They've had the dominance the last couple of minutes. The last thing they would have wanted was for Inverloch to go deep inside 50 and counteract the other way.
So a mountain to climb for Tooradin, but this could be the start of something. And he's missed.
He looked a little indecisive as to whether he was going to go the traditional drop punt or the Stevie J around the corner, and it may have just played on his mind just a little bit.
As we have a quick look around the grounds. Over to Bunyip, who lead Corumburra by 70 points, 13-11-89 to 2-7-19. And Coralin, they are 12-10-82 to Kilcunda, 8 behinds. So after last week's loss, Kilcunda, it only gets worse for them. And standing tall was the defence for Tooradin, looking to see which option was the most viable. And in the end, it was James Trezise, who Kyle Pover seems to enjoy watching.
Yeah, he's got a bag of tricks, the young lad. I think he's young. I think he's 19 or 20.
Did not kick a goal last week, surprisingly, with the left. That is a massive strike. And it is the perfect major that they desperately needed. It's all tight here at Tooradin Recreation Reserve. 7-3-45 to 6-7-43. Inverloch by 2 on the totally workwear Gippsland scoreboard. 22 minutes in.
Fair to say this centre clearance is very vital. Whoever can win it, potentially go forward, kick a goal.
And here they go. Clark, McCaffer this time. Held back, but it wasn't enough to affect the kick. Just slapped forward by Williams. Out of the rubble and eventually back in. Wilson unable to find a way out. And a free kick. Advantage is paid. Maybe to his disadvantage. Yep, certainly was. Strong mark by Dylan Parlberg on the left. Matthew Livermore. He'll just measure one over the top. And now they're at half forward. McCaffrey was on short. If he elects to kick longer, he has that man Trezise. It's kind of in that direction. It was for Scanlon originally. And nothing resolves.
Nearly 24 minutes gone, so you couldn't imagine there'd be too much longer left off the back of the first 2 quarters.
Clark with a fist. Rankin was just dispossessed, and it'll spill out of bounds. But certainly a sense of competitiveness today. A 2-point game. And around the grounds, blowouts everywhere except in Narnagoon, where Warragul lead it by 7 behinds. Cooey Rupp lead Garfield by 38 and Phillip Island beating Daleston by 84 as we have another ball up. Oh, a leg stuck out right spontaneously from the pack has missed.
Just slowly chipping away at this margin now.
And they just edge closer. It's a 1-point ball game.
You almost feel like Inverloch are just holding on at the minute, which is a little strange to say that considering they've still got the 1-point advantage, but they're really pressing hard at the moment, the Tooradin side.
Mackie to Hawking. They'll work it around the back line. Park was there. Instead, he took the shorter option. Trezise farming it out of there. Hughes, and it'll just come back, and now a chance emanating again from Trezise. Played on, and full forward now the mark taken by Butler. And that is certainly costly.
Trezise again.
Yeah.
Didn't blaze away, lowered his eyes.
But it was a precarious kick in the back line, and they've taken advantage of it, and they've taken the lead. On the precipice of 3-quarter time, it's 7:8:50 to 7:3:45. And now, what can we predict for this 4th quarter?
Well, they look like they've stopped a little bit, the Inverloch side, and they're getting on a bit of a roll now, Tooradin. I think that's the last 3 in a row, is it? Or 2 in a row, but lots of behinds in between. And as we said just before that goal was kicked, they look like they're just holding on now, Inverloch, and it'd be a shame because they've put up a really brave performance. So it'd be a shame to see the Tooradin side kick away as we go deep into this 3rd quarter and head into the final quarter.
Well, we did question if they'd be revitalised after the half, and they started off a little slow, but look at them now. Parlberg puts it right in front of Egan. Egan took his time, extended his vision wide, and Adams this time.
I think if you're
Lewis
Inverloch,
Hill,
you're telling him to go back and take your time, put it through. They kicked this on the verge of 3-quarter time, and the momentum will certainly be with them.
Should have the distance from here. Lewis Hill, 45 metres out. It's swinging, and it's touched on the line. Nearly a monumental effort there. Wasn't sure who almost took the mark. And now they're fraught with peril, Inverloch. They're looking for this 3-quarter time break. Toussaint fishing the hand pass out of their ship. Back towards the wing to a band. Parlberg again. Turner momentarily stunned. We've got a ball up on the 50. "27.5 minutes in and counting. Another scrap. Who can extract the footy? Who can provide something for Inverloch? Or the siren might. It looks like they need to regroup.
Yeah, they'd probably be very thankful for the siren, the Inverloch team now.
Almost taken head high. Garnham carving his way through. But it's a high free kick for Inverloch advantage.
Shitty kid. do you slow things up or do you take the advantage? He had the corridor to himself there. Did Garnham.
Yeah, not a lot of time. And, that slips through the fingers of Hawking. The crowd, jubilant as ever.
Not ideal to let one slip right through your hands in front of the faithful with a belly full of beer at nearly 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Brewer will see this fall into the pack. The longest quarter by far, and they both had a run and a leap at it. But the time is ticking and they need to go. Opponents just seem to dissolve around Oxley. As he kicks, he'll look for the 1-2. Hand pass from Wilson back to Oxley. He releases towards goal, and it is true. A huge goal, and a 12-point lead has opened up for Tooradin.
I think that's our comfort by King G goal of the day right there. First of all, the pinpoint pass from Oxley, and then to keep running, and I think that's a sign of fatigue there from the Inverloch side for no one to just put a body check on him or stop his run. They'll be really disappointed, the Inverloch coaching staff, that they've let that one slip. They've given up a 2-goal lead as we go into what surely would be three-quarter time very shortly. To go down by 2 goals, they'll be disappointed because all their hard work this quarter's come undone.
And his presence was pervading the air. He ran from the wing to the 50th. The siren sounds, but Adam Oxley gives Tooradin a 12-point buffer entering the final change. The crowd was ballistic for that goal, and now Inverloch, they're on the ropes. Can they turn it around? 7 more scoring shots for Tooradin. They've been a little inaccurate, but they hold a 12-point lead. We'll take a short break here, and it's 8-9 to 7-3 on the Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard. And an enjoyable last quarter to come.
And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. I'm going all the way up. I'm letting go in my heart of everything that holds me down. And it's feeling like I'm the rhythm. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. I'm going all the way up. I'm letting go in my heart of everything that holds me down. And it's feeling like I'm the rhythm. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have
Well, it was a fan frenzy when Adam Oxley just kicked that goal to give Tooradin a 12-point lead. And there were sequences in that quarter where there was just a procession of goals. And then there were sequences where there was nothing happening really. Not a lot of, well, there were plenty of contests, not a lot of ball movement sometimes. And it would fall back into the dispute. But it freed up at the end and Tooradin put themselves on the board.
Yeah, they dominated terms in that third quarter. I think it might have had something to do with, I reckon they got a rocket at half-time from the coaching staff, and they've come out and responded. Inverloch had their moments there in that quarter, but fell away, and, gee, some of those goals towards the back end of that third quarter, exactly what was required from a Tooradin standpoint. And how good was that goal from Adam Oxley? The awareness to go on the outside of the boot initially and hit up the leading forward, but then to get the 1-2, which I'm sure the Inverloch coaching staff, it happened right in front of him. They'd been really disappointed that they were able to leave him to run on and have all that free space so late in the quarter as well, because it would have been 15, 20 seconds left of playing time.
Well, barring another miraculous goal, that has to be the King G trade comfort. We're back. Technical difficulties for a moment.
We've had a good string of luck today, though. All the difficulties have happened during the breaks. We haven't missed a moment of play, touch wood,
No.
even as I just tapped some fiberglass. But
And now the umpire will just wait for the all clear. So how can Inverloch respond? What kind of last quarter will it be? 15 goals between the two sides. It's been a low-scoring affair, lower than expected as Two Saints has first touch. And Inverloch will have the first entry. Corey Casey. Clark. And now pedaling forward again. Casey. Eager to just boost it inside. 50. Almost raked in by Wyatt. And a behind has been kicked.
so, beginning of this third quarter, and Scott has gone back to McAfee.
As expected. And Oxley from full back. That's a big kick down to the wing. The Rovers, they were prepared and ready to move it on. A one-on-one. Here's Brewer. He's dangerous. He turns. He kicks. He goals! What a fitting start to the fourth quarter for Blake Brewer. He's been ready all day and he kicks his second.
What a goal. They're coming home red hot, the Tooradin side. And we spoke pre-game about how they've been able to blow teams away in the second half, and currently they're doing just that.
Didn't need to last week, of course. Tooradin, they had a 126-point demolition. So Scott on McCaffrey, but they have other issues at the moment, probably in the form of Adam Oxley, who started that passage of play. Here is Scott, just tripping over the footy. Clark. And pass sideways. And now they can manufacture something forward. Corey Casey. Short ball and Sumulus as marked. Been productive all day.
He has, definitely.
As
Up and
Joe
down on the
Sumulus. In he comes. The ball drop a little off and it harmed the kick. It's a minor score. And it's 9-9 to 7-5. On the Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard as Oxley had only intentions for this big pack. Ball just eluded Lenders. Another ball up. So either side, they've had patches of dominant play and then play like this where they're unable to move it forward. As Van Driel probably content with that result. There wasn't a lot of movement up forward. Two Saints, good use of his brute strength. Hand pass from Casey to Scott, and then out of his hands and into the opposition's.
Really liked Casey's game for the Inverloch side. I think he's been one of their better players.
Agreed. Especially in this last quarter early. And here is Casey just chipping it off the grass. In the back pocket now for Tooradin. And Lenders again. So the wind has just introduced itself. Looks to be pushing towards the left of screen, so that will assist Inverloch as they have a 16-point deficit to overcome. That certainly didn't help when Brewer kicked that previous goal. Not a slither of space. They're rabid in there. Casey. The backman McCaffrey now motoring onto it. Was Trezise. It'll go Inverloch's way. Probably too far out to score is Tristan Van Driel, but he has kicked plenty of goals this year.
Understatement, I think, to say that he needs to put this through or put it to the top of the square and let a teammate take a big contested mark and put it through.
And he's confident, so it may not be beyond him. In he runs. The distance wasn't an issue. Accuracy, on the other hand. (9-9 to 7-6) on the Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard. Oxley again. This is the methodology that he's been sticking by in this last quarter. Right, had hands to it and disarmed in the end. It's holding the ball, so they'll go forward. And it just hits the woodwork. Unluckily for Jarvis Pryor. But a switch in play. Now it's Inverloch who are threatening.
They are. Just having a look, it might be a slight breeze that's favouring that left of screen. So it seems that most goals have been kicked to that end for today.
Oxley, reminiscent of the previous two exits. And confronting tackle by Casey.
Tell you one thing I've noticed with Adam Oxley, if it's a kick that's under 40 metres, he doesn't want a bar of it. It's long or nothing.
And he certainly proved his case with that tremendous goal as that kick was defective out on the full by Tristan Van Driel.
Looks like Oxley's going to get it here maybe. No. I was going to say, if he does, no doubt he'll go long up the line.
Lenders to Adams. Standing on the mark is Jensen Garnham, who kicked the first goal of the game. And he's been a little inconspicuous since. The ball's still on the grass. Finally picked up. And another throw in. $16 points is the margin. And there's not a lot of margin for error for Inverloch now, especially with the flow of play today, as Clark is dragged down at half forward. Punch forward by Egan. Walking onto it, and so too is Hughes.
Gee, I'm surprised there's no free kick there. The Tooradin player puts his hands up to say, what about me?
I'd love to see a tally of the amount of stoppages and throw-ins today.
Definitely. To be expected on a ground like this, though.
Yep. Just slapped out of there. Bounced favourably for Trezise, but he couldn't make an impact past that.
How good was his third quarter? He definitely gave the Tooradin side the spark they needed.
So right again. Entered the pack optimistically, left it with a huge kick forward, a big leap. And it should be a throw, and it is. So Pryor, ready for Two Saints to move, and they do, accelerating forward, but they'll be stopped in their tracks by the Tooradin defence, who can hold their head high today.
Is that Proctor? No, it's not. It's
Parlberg.
I've liked his game.
Parlberg to Oxley, and Oxley again to the wing. Can they be industrious here? That kick, well, it was semi-industrious. Only in the way was Rankin. But now they're advancing down the ground in convoy. Pryor taken, holding the ball. Advantage, watch out! He didn't look in the rearview mirror, and it's holding the ball the opposite way. What a sequence and a chain of events there.
Yeah, definitely. It was a seesawing affair.
Wyatt for Garnham. Garnham just shoots that inside. Toussaint at back position. And it'll be touched again. Van Triel couldn't deal with that. Just avoided him. Well, that has to be the most volatile passage we've seen today.
It has, yeah, and he had absolutely no idea, Brewer, with the tackle coming there.
Now there's an opening for Sumalis. Casey looking to remove the shackles. He couldn't. Park. Another ball up. 40 out from goal. That ball was close to the boundary line. Clark again. And the defence did well to come across and force it out of bounds. Ten minutes into this last quarter. It's Tooradin by 16. McCaffer took initiative to just remove his opponent from the equation, and then he got it back again. That's a floating ball, and Suarez.
He's been fantastic today. He's clearly been the best tall on the ground.
Oh, watch out. They weren't synchronised, but this man was. Great defence and not a bad kick, and now they'll have to rely on their hands. Advantage is paid. And now the spot fire is beginning. The umpire has to blow the whistle. Oxley, he's pedalling forward, but it will come back to the wing. There's a lot happening in this last quarter.
Yeah, interesting to see was the umpire off the ball. And correct decision there. They've paid the downfield free kick.
So Clark had to be diligent with the kick, and he was. Ethan Park. 16-point margin, then they'll just try to chisel through it, and this can help kickstart them. But he's missed. And they've had their chances.
Yeah, I was going to say they've had their opportunities early in this last quarter.
Oxley.
I reckon this is going long.
Yeah, I mean, you could sense his alacrity when it went through. He was trotting towards the ball. So Suarez is parked under the footy, as to is Wilson. And it falls out to the ground. A kick to vacant space. Almost taken high in the end. The umpire says play on. So here is Lewis Hill. Into the pocket he goes. This could almost cap it off. But he's missed.
Gee, I think that would have been another contender. We've had some fantastic goals today. Just hit the post. I thought it was through from our angle.
Yes, I did. And an obnoxious wind. Just feeling it from where we are. Van Driel. Unusual habitat for him. That kick may be out of intuition because we've seen it all day. It did well, the defence in Tooradin. The forwards turn defenders. McCaffer just slipped over his own footing. And surfacing the pack. Scott, but it's another ball up. Centre wing, 16 points is the margin. Toussaint down to his brother, who shuffles the kick forward. Prime position there for Cooper Ship.
He's
Who
been
can
good today,
steer one just to McCaffer. He did well, maybe some cramp. Gets up slowly.
He's been good again in this last quarter. Again, they started off with a tag, and it looks like it's already been shipped off, although I don't mind it because they do need to have a roll of the dice to get back into this one, I think.
Great mark there. And now Wilson back into the hands of Adams. Wilson again to half forward now. And a snap around the body. It was certainly an interesting choice. It could work out for them. We'll see if anything develops, and it has. A mark has been taken.
Fantastic vision, but then an equally fantastic mark. I think it's Adams again.
It is.
So he had a couple of efforts earlier getting the ball inside 50 and kept on following him down. So this could just about be the icing on the cake, I reckon.
He did well to establish a new position there because he started at the wing. He had multiple possessions.
Yeah, just kept on working.
And now the opportunity to kick a goal. Bang! The largest lead of the day for Tooradin. 10-11-71 to 7-7. 49 on the totally workwear Gippsland scoreboard, and you can just sense that this is getting away from Inverloch.
Yeah, I think it's game over now. They've been brilliant today, the Inverloch side, so they'll lose no admirers. I thought they had the momentum halfway through that third quarter. They were looking like they could potentially bust the game open, but as a good team does, like Tooradin is, the way they've responded has been excellent. As we see now, right, is that the tallest wingman you've ever seen?
Two wingmen. Certainly going against the 666 rule, but it didn't matter, I guess. Not in local footy, at least. So diving deep, go the midfielders. Plenty of them just loitering. Been a battle all day. Toussaint, it's been a roller coaster, really. Both sides have had big leads. And Inverloch again. They'll go forward. They'll hit each other in the air. Proctor. And a free kick has been spotted. It'll go Casey's way.
Spoke about him pre-game, but William Turner, as the X factor, He's had a quiet afternoon. He's had a couple opportunities early, but it's been few and far between. And I think similar to last week, I just don't think they've got the ball inside 50 often enough to really threaten too much on the scoreboard.
So William Turner, that kick is turning to the left. It fell short. And it's punched through for a behind. Well, they've kicked plenty of behinds this quarter. And it could very well be a 2-point game, or if not even a lead for Inverloch. As Oxley indulges in a bounce. Kicks to the pack. It just bobbles around in there. And constricted in the tackle. And Suarez is happy to give him a little bit of lip. They've been at it all day. As Wright hurls that forward. Or Egan came whittling through. And Williams did well to ward off the danger. Turner again to a one-on-one. He's the avenue in. Held back was Park. And the goal has not been kicked. Garnham has missed from nearly point-blank range.
Yeah, they've had their opportunities in this last quarter. They've missed a couple of easy ones.
Look at Adam Oxley. Almost a seagull.
Yep. Pun intended, of course. Where do you reckon he's going?
Well, let's watch.
Long.
Exactly where we thought. Hasn't switched it up at all as Two Saints hits it out.
No, he might have what's it called? The meters gained clause in the contract. A few extra long kicks.
Two Saints. Adams. And now stalking the footy was Rankin. Crowd screams ball. And the umpire doesn't agree.
That was a good tackle, no prior.
Toussaint had plenty of leverage on the jump. We'll have another ball up, but time is of the essence. 19 points is the deficit for Inverloch. 19 minutes in as well. Toussaint and Wright again. Wright almost tackled his own teammate there in Livermore. Livermore did well. Squirts out to Wright again. This time Adams to Wright. Right, it just bounces along the ground. Finally, Hawking had a man, but he kicked it to the wrong one, or rather hand passed it, and they thread it through. It's an open shot at goal by Scanlon, and he's kicked his fourth. And that will be all she wrote.
Yep, he's been good today. He hasn't had many opportunities, but when he has, he's capitalised, and that's what good forwards do. It hasn't been his day, but he's to still kick 4 goals when it hasn't been your day. It's the sign of a good player. He was dominant early. It's been pretty quiet since those opening few minutes. But that's the final nail in the coffin, I think. And just having a look here, and they've certainly had their opportunities in this last quarter in block. I think they were 7-5 at three-quarter time.
And again, gracefully out the middle. Grew up. Contest in the air. Wright enforced his will. Off to a teammate who put that high. And the mark again brought down by James Trezise, who thought it through superbly.
He's been big in this second half as well. He got things rolling in that third quarter when things were looking ominous from a Tooradin perspective.
Trezise to give them a 31-point lead on the left. It never looked in doubt. And they can sprinkle the finishing touches on now.
They've been gallant today, the Inverloch side. I think the margin, they'll be a little disappointed they've let it get beyond 5 goals, though. They've certainly had their opportunities and deserve to have that margin a little bit closer, but haven't they responded perfectly since half-time? They were challenged in that first half, the Tooradin team. And to come out and respond the way they have is the sign of a very good side.
It's been a strenuous game for both sides. And it looks as if Tooradin will escape with the win. Almost riding out the tackle was Van Driel. But now they can turn the other way. Hughes prevented them from moving forward. Pacing forward is Scott. Rummaging upfield for White. No time to lose. Certainly noticed that. Oh no, which car is this going to hit? None of them, luckily.
Yeah, I think you can tell it's late in the day as well, as the crowd are very vocal below us here, Dylan.
Play on. Oxley. Where's he going? Right back to where he always does, and right. Firm grip of the footy. Has it in his hands. 22 and a half minutes has passed. Right. Past the wing into half forward. Scott probably accepted his fate after he failed to fend off his opponents. There's the ball up. Butler in the ruck again. So just thinking further ahead, we will have a tough time deciding who's going to have the 3 votes, the 2 and the 1.
I've been thinking about that. I don't know. I honestly don't know who to give it to. Maybe this man. He's been great today, Oxley.
Oxley just knifing through and was given the free kick as Toussaint transgressed. Potentially goal of the day as well. So Oxley hoists it up high. Mark almost taken. Right on the boulevard of 50. There can't be long left.
No, there can't be. It's going to be hard to go past McCaffer, potentially, because he was quiet early, but as soon as he's been let off the shackles...
Just guided down by the ruckman. That kick won't go anywhere. Kelly's kick, the captain... A little lethargic in the end. And now Lenders just tossed it up in the air. Wilson off for McCaffer, and McCaffer to half forward. They're just playing with their food now. And they'll have another shot at goal.
Hard to believe that this will blow it out to 6.5 goal margin.
It's almost as if they've just tantalised them for the first 3 quarters and then they've just ignited themselves in this last
They'll
quarter.
take a bit out of that first half as well, though, and I think a lot of teams around the league are going to look at the vision of this first half and try and work out a way in which you can beat this Tooradin side. And I think it was pretty obvious when they were able to slow their ball movement down, have them going, chipping sideways and around and forcing turnovers. You're able to dominate.
Good luck getting that footy.
As the ball gets stuck in between and you got kids climbing up.
Well, they're in full effect now, Tooradin. No remorse. And McCaffer was there. There he is. And now they're in pursuit forward. No one there to disrupt. And it'll come back. We were just waiting for the umpire's decision.
I think it was a
free kick
blocking
going
free
Inverloch's
kick,
way. Yes. So Hawking through the centre. Now round to the outer side. Lewis Hill in the hole. McCaffer on the wing. And look at this. He's just slowing it down. He'll retreat to Oxley. And Oxley back to McCaffer. 32-point game. In fact, there's a couple of different scores on multiple scoreboards around the ground, but we'll say 32 for the moment. There's a short kick, Suarez. Well, that could have capped the 3 votes. Scott enters, as does Wyatt. And the dispute was only ephemeral. Again out to the wing. Toussaint! Oxley! Nearly the ride. And Oxley again. McCaffer. Toying with the offense here. Loose man in Galea, who hasn't seen a lot of it, and he still might not. It's going towards the boundary line. And I don't know if he's had a disposal today.
It just trickled along with him, unfortunately, that one. Now, I'm pretty sure it's... The scoreboard here's got 12-11, 7-10, but I've got 7-9...
12-12.
12-12. I think that behind was given incorrectly, that last one.
Johnson. His kick was smothered. McCaffer. It'll be McCaffer's free kick. Has the short option in Brewer. Just a little pot kick to him. And again, Livermore. Goal last week. Nothing to show today on the scoreboard, but he has been fruitful. Right to half forward. Almost in the way of his teammate. And here is Wright. That kick almost right for his teammate in Egan. Egan just clambering along the ground. Pryor did exceptionally well. And now Williams over for Garnham. Garnham caught! Holding the ball.
That's a fantastic...
And there's the siren.
Fantastic tackle to finish off the game.
Trent Adams for the finishing touches on a scrumptious cake for Tooradin. The crowd tells the story. Another win on the board for Tooradin. They're 7-0. 13-11-89 to 7-10-52.
I reckon it's the other way around. I reckon it's 13-12 plays 7-9. I reckon that last behind was accidentally given.
Either way, it is just another victory for Tooradin.
Has no effect on the result whatsoever. And what a second half from the Tooradin side. When you look at this game at the end, you'll think, oh, gee, again, just too strong, Tooradin, for another challenger. But the reality is it was a hard-fought contest for the majority of this afternoon. Well done to the umpires as they come off as well. Thought they were really good today. Didn't notice them, and that's a sign of a good umpire when you can say you didn't notice them.
Exactly right. Well, it's unfortunate for Inverloch. They were fourth before today, and they might just slip down the rankings. Coming up against the top team in Tooradin, of course. A 39-point loss, or 37, depends which scoreboard you have a glimpse at. But we've been assigned a very tough task in the votes. And in our post-game show, sponsored by Fused by King G, we will have them for you. So as Inverloch make their way off the ground, as Kyle said, they were gallant. And they led midway through the third quarter by 10 points. And Tooradin were reluctant to give up 4 consecutive goals. And then in the last quarter, they kicked another 6.
So, I reckon we might do our 3-2-1, which we've been speaking throughout the day, who we're going to give it to. So I'm going to go, I think we have to give Adam Oxley a vote. I think his ball use coming out of the back half, and he was able to get scores going through the middle of the ground and open them up. Turned it over a couple of times, but you take that, I think. You take the good with the bad with players like that. So my 1 vote to Adam Oxley. My 2 votes, and this is where I've been umming and ahhing as to who gets 2 and who gets 3.
Yeah. It's extremely open.
Yeah, I think I'm going to... I don't want to give it to McCaffer purely because I think he was well held in the first quarter and a bit. So I'm going to give him my 2 votes. He was fantastic as the day went on. Begs the question as to why they decided to drop the tag. I think it was working perfectly. And, of course, we have a completely different view and not aware as to what strategies and plans that the Inverloch side have. So it's easy for us to say that from the cheap seats, but just from our observations, we felt as though the tag was probably necessary for the entirety of the game. And I'm going to give my 3 votes to the man in Blake Brewer. I think he kicked some a couple of goals that just gave his side the lift when needed at most. He would have had his 20-25 as a midfielder. Kicked a couple of great goals, so I'm going to give best on ground to that man in Blake Brewer.
All right. I had a tough time deciding this as well, as shared off the ground is the milestone man, and in fact I think we might see him appear in a moment. Won't mention the name, but I've gone 1 vote, Adam Oxley. Maybe a little harsh to not have 2, considering that he may have kicked the goal of the day. 2 votes, I've gone with Brent McCaffer. And 3 votes, I've gone with that man there, Julian Suarez, for 3 votes. Maybe
Suarez.
a little controversial.
No, well, he was, as I said a couple of times throughout the broadcast, he was certainly the best haul on the ground. Some of his contested marking efforts, particularly in that second quarter, and to be honest, that's early days of that second quarter was probably when they started to get on top.
So now to our mark of the day, sponsored by Fused by King G. Now, probably a challenging award to give away at the moment.
I remember there was one early days in the first quarter. I might have been the second quarter. No, I don't think it was Oxley, because he might feature in our next segment. I'm just having a look here. There was definitely a player. It was an Inverloch player for mine, and it was an intercepting mark early in the second quarter. Maybe Mackey. It might have been Todd Mackey. So, a little sheepishly, we're going to say Todd Mackey. It might not have been him, but Todd Mackey, if you watch this back, we've given you the mark of the day, and the game will have stats on it. So, if there's no marks for Todd Mackey, we know we've made a blue. But yeah, I think we'll give the Fused by King G Totally Workwear mark of the day to Todd Mackey of the Inverloch side. And our goal of the day, which is proudly brought to you by King G Trade Comfort Max. I don't think we had a couple of entries. I think Blake Brewer's goal, or both his goals, were excellent, but we said at the time, that Adam Oxley goal at the time, because the stage of the game it was as well. They were only up by a goal. It was 20 to 30 seconds just before 3/4 time. There was the follow-up work as well, so there was the pinpoint pass leading up to it, and then to keep on running and go bang from 50. I think that's our Trade Comfort Max goal of the day.
Definitely irrefutable there, Adam Oxley. And you could just see him right on the broadcast wing. He kicked it short, he whipped it into the middle, and then he just full-on sprinted, and he's definitely a hard man to contain when he's at his maximum speed. Received it back from 50 about 10 seconds before the siren of the third quarter.
He did. Now, after he kicked it as well, his celebration with Brent McCaffer, obviously mates from their days at Collingwood, they did like a little bit of I'm going to say a personalised handshake, so we might have a look at on the vision.
All right.
Later
Maybe
on in the week, and put that up on the highlight reel, because there was a bit going on in that handshake.
But Tooradin, they sit at 7-0, and probably their toughest challenge today, but they just seem to be intangible. First on the ladder, Inverloch unluckily fall to 5-2, and I emphasise unluckily because they led it by 10 points midway through the third quarter, and then this unextinguishable burst from Tooradin came about, and they kicked plenty of goals. They kicked 4 unanswered, and then another 6 in the last quarter.
Yep, absolutely. They're They won't lose any admirers, though. They'll still be there when the whips are cracking, no doubt, the Inverloch side.
So a 39-point margin as we look ahead to next week, where we will be broadcasting probably a little further away than here. It's close by.
Well, for us, it's
Tooradin.
further away, as both being Berwick boys. Dylan, not as far for us to travel coming down the South Gippy Highway to Tooradin. We've had internet issues all day today, so we're just trying to bring up who will be broadcasting.
It's been enjoyable the first 2 weeks. We had Mason McGarity kick 10 last week in a 97-point win, and today we saw them bump heads Tooradin by 39 points. So we are struggling with the connection, but we will be out next week, out in the east for us, but West Gippsland. But it's been a great day. It was a great win for Tooradin, a 39-point winning side in the end. But that'll do it for today. We hope you enjoyed. We will see you on the other side next week. Thanks for tuning in.
I cannot believe we got pretty much a full stream. There's about maybe I'm going to say maybe like a 2 or 3 minute period.
How have we done that?
Early in the last quarter,
Yep.
but basically the whole game.
How did we make that through? I don't know. Unscathed.
I put it in our like work group chat, the internet speeds, and they're like, "Are you in Siberia?" they and I said, "Well, we've actually like it."
I enjoyed this.
There's. So. So what you can actually do Ballarat League with this is Toyota's their scoreboard sponsor. So they say thanks, and that's on your Ballarat Toyota scoreboard. Hit that